into the trash. Then it's literal garbage.
They also call me a wrestling casual, Achilles.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I know a thing or two about wrestling.
He is not a wrestling casual.
I literally ran a official Japanese wrestling promotion, so like a single promotion like WWE, WCW, a Japanese promotion website for years. I am no wrestling casual, but there's no point in going too deep on wrestling on a video game broadcast.
Well, and here I thought I was the nerd. Turns out Papa's the biggest one.
It was a long time ago, though.
We did get everybody settled into the lobby. Pick and ban underway. You can see Nidalee going to be taken away from by SKTelecom, so no banking Nidalee going to be happening in this game. Talia and Shen kind of follow suit, so they're keeping the same exact bans that they had in Game 1 over on the red side. GP, Gragas, and Malzahar yet again, so
Alistar.
Everything that was open is still open, and okay. SKTelecom going to be doing what CJ did. They're going to first pick the Gnar.
Now, will CJ actually contest that Alistar? Alistar moves to 9-0 for Wolf this season, so
I think you kind of have to take that one.
I mean, you basically, it seems like Wolf is going for the late game, or the late season version of what Gorilla was doing last season, who played, I believe it was 21 games of Alistar and went 18-3. CJ could take away the Alistar. Madlife, of course, a legacy Alistar god, but there's other picks available, and CJ have been a team that has been very good about using the jungle Hecarim, so maybe Haru will be returning to that pick, and Shy has looked best on Trundle. However, there's not a lot of ambiguity. There is a world where Shy plays top lane Hecarim, and it's a support Trundle, but if you've been tracking CJ, we're very heavily expecting this to be top lane and jungle locked in for CJ Entus.
Still just a bit of a bold pick going into that Gnar as soon as he gets the frozen mallet. As we can kind of surmise is going to be the first item for him with a Hecarim on the enemy team as well. He's really going to be able to just mutilate that Trundle in a 1v1 situation. Elise and the Alistar are going to be coming through, so Wolf will still get his desired support pick, and Bangi's going to be coming back in on his most played jungler.
No real need to pick mid lane. They've already picked ostensibly their top laner, so CJ could leave that mid lane counter pick to last pick. We didn't see a Vladimir in Game 1, which was interesting.
Yeah.
No further Vladimir nerfs in 6.14. We still see this champion pretty heavily contested, so I guess this would leave a lot of ambiguity about the lineup, but we'll wait for CJ to settle on that picks.
I think you just wait on the Vladimir for the last pick, because giving it over to BDD to be able to counterpick Faker is going to be really desirable, and it's a very slim chance that Faker is going to take the Vladimir for himself. I think he's played it twice since it came into the meta. Maybe one or two more on top of that, but it hasn't been very prevalent of a pick for him. Meanwhile, though, it's going to be Jhin and Taric picked up for Kramer and Madline.
So one of the interesting takeaways, actually, from the bans, Achilles, this is the first series that SKT's played in where there's been no AD carry bans in what feels like forever. There's been up to 5 AD carry bans, really putting Bang onto edge meta champions, especially for him, like Twitch and Misfortune in the last couple of series. But with all AD carries available, Ashe and Sivir included, Kramer interestingly will go over to the Jhin. Now, we saw his Ashe just train down multiple times in the late game. That will still happen with Jhin, but Jin's mid-game power is not to be denied. SKT actually will be visiting the Vladimir, interestingly.
So, you know, I said it was unlikely, but they're going to do it anyway. So, Faker going to be picking up Vladimir yet again.
Hasn't been the best pick for Faker or SKTelecom, but the power of the pick can't be denied. Sivir, Vladimir have been first-round rotation picks in recent drafts. They're going to really rely on the Gnar to control lane, because there could be some really painful lanes on the side of CJ Entus when it comes to the standard laning phase. Waiting on a mid laner for BDD.
Yeah, that's an interesting hover to see there. One with the Quinn, but now flipping between this Karma and the Cassiopeia, which we've seen Cassio be an answering pick for the Vladimir a couple times. It hasn't really worked out as well as you would hope in Korea so far, but it will be Karma picked up for BDD, so a lot of move speed and mobility coming through on the side of CJ, especially for Haru. If you can speed him up with that Mantra shield, he is just going to be able to dive right into the back line of SKTelecom.
I think there was definitely a world where BDD picked up the Cassiopeia. One of the most impressive CJ wins was with split push Cassiopeia. Wasn't running teleport, but it was a really nice performance from BDD.
Yeah,
but he goes for the safer choice.
That, so.
He goes for the safer choice. He goes for the Karma in this situation because, again, they've got the jungle Hecarim. They need some power in the lanes to open up a safe farming phase for a jungler like Hecarim, and also the shields make him that inherent tankiness in team fights. Karma shields, Taric, and vulnerability will both be options to keep the Hecarim alive, especially if he goes for a high DPS build where he can be either killing or be killed in very swift fashion in the early game.
Yeah. Just going to see how Kramer fares in this game early on. In that first was doing decently against Bang. He did have a CS discrepancy that he was able to kind of tighten up a little bit, but now with this Jhin, needs to get rolling early, get that Dirk in, make it into a Yomo's Ghost Blade, and transition into a Dusk Blade as quickly as he possibly can so he can actually impact these fights and open up with those very nice utility curtain calls to slow up multiple members of SKTelecom. But with Faker being able to dive into the back line with this Vladimir fairly safely, it's going to be a bit of a rough time here for CJ Entus.
Bengi back in the lineup, BD back in the lineup. Lot to be excited for in Game 2.
That there is. Bengi, we'll keep our eye on him, see how his pathing goes. Last time we saw him jump in for the first time in a while. It's a bit interesting, so we'll see how he manages coming back in off of a little bit of an extended break. It's been multiple weeks since we've seen him, but let's go ahead and get right into Game 2. All right, Cloud Drake will start us off. I'm actually pumped for a Cloud Drake for the first time in a long time.
See, patches do work, Riot Games. Now we love the Cloud Drake.
It's the best thing ever. No, but Mountain and Infernal still pretty damn nice. But Cloud getting a buff is good. We'll see if it's one of those times where Riot's is like, okay, you know, we overtuned this, time to nerf it.
I like to think of the Drakes as like when you have that situation where, you know, you're picking for teams, like if you're in the schoolyard and you're picking for basketball teams or something, and like you got new shoes for the Ocean Drakes, so for the Cloud Drakes suddenly it goes picked, and now the Drake nobody wants.
He's got those Nikes, man. Those
no Nikes for the Ocean Drake. I mean, the literal Nikes, I guess, for the Cloud Drake.
He's got those Air Jordans. Just shoes are expensive, man. You gotta respect it.
Faker has been one of the few mid-lane Vladimirs to move away from Strength of the Ages and actually go for the Storm Raider Surge. Gonna have that movement speed on trades. Once he gets a bit more ability power, we'll start chunking out and proccing that Storm Raiders.
Yep, Wolf and Bang gonna invade in here. Stop Shy and Haru from taking this last Wolf as best as they can. Meanwhile, Mad Life and Kramer mirroring this. Banky will get locked up, still walks back in, gets the smite onto that, so he'll have that Wolf Spirit. So he'll be all right. Meanwhile, CJ not nearly as good, as they weren't able to finish that camp, so he'll be sitting there for a while. So nice delay coming in from the bot lane of SKTelecom. Good way to start things off.
Both teams interested in going for the full two-man invades. Usually it's just the support invading, but 80 carries followed in both instances. Yep, return to lane swap. Hecarim jungle. You want to try and get him through the early laning phase, so it makes a lot of sense to go for that jungle follow. In other regions, lane swaps are basically 100% of the time. In Korea, it's definitely less so, but when you have these more risky jungle picks, extra incentives to go for the lane swap.
Yep. Haru gonna push in, drifting on this blue buff, which he should be able to do. Bengi is down on that bottom side, but of course Bengi probably just gonna roam over and take away the blue buff on the side of CJ Entus' jungle. Meanwhile, split does come through from both of our bot lanes plus tops in that mid bottom side. CJ gonna be a little bit slower taking this out. Jin's not gonna be as adept as Sivir, but should be pretty similar timings overall.
That tempo disadvantage can actually be relevant. Allows earlier backs for champions. We're going to see Bang actually challenge back very early, so if they do want to enter top, they will pick up extra minion waves in this particular situation.
Bit of a delay for both as they run out of minions, but it's not going to change the end result. Banky is able to snipe out that blue, so going to be pretty happy, and he's also going to net that, you know, large wolf, so he's going to get a nice little lead here over top of Haru in the end of things. Good pathing from him.
Little Krug, which is interesting. Usually we see the full clears to get the exact timers, and because there's a lot of experience loaded into the little sentinels for the blue buff, but he left the little blue buff up, so that's interesting.
Well, now you can be a bit more flexible with that, since you get those global timers, so the vision doesn't matter very much, because once you see that clock start ticking down, you know it's a minute until it spawns.
And if Tarek doesn't check and kill it right now, would mean the blue buff is heavily delayed. Very relevant for CJ compared to SKT.
Oh, Bang by himself. He'll go ahead and use that flash, but he does not have a tower here. He's pushed back in, and Shy jumps on top of him. He's going to go down. TP coming through. Wolf arriving a little bit too late. Can they find something? Headbutt pulverize in onto Shy. Here comes Duke. Almost has Megadar available. They will take out the Trundle. Can they find more? Double jumps forward onto Haru. Transforms. Will land the wallop, and Bangy is here as well. That's going to be 2 kills picked up here for SKTelecom. Nice little turnaround, but Bang just a little bit too far forward, puts himself in harm's way, and gives up that first blood gold over to CJ.
Oh, Haru. Really nice jungle pathing from him. We were going to focus on Bengi, but it was Haru that made the smart decision, as with Ghost and a point in the devastating charge, they got the kill. He could have gotten out, though, but instead he chose to fight, even though SKT were naturally going to be pathing to top side in the lane swap, was always going to be heavily outnumbered. They end up giving, crucially, that extra kill over, and it goes to Gnar in an advantageous matchup against the Trundle. So whether it's Black Cleaver or the Frozen Mallet, that first item going to be coming faster for Duke, and the Pain going to be coming faster for Shy.
Yeah, nicely done there by the members of SKTelecom to fire back and pick that up. So now going to find themselves in a gold advantage despite giving up the first blood.
Bengi's trying to top. He went boots and mobility first.
Yeah, Duke gets chunked out, goes in onto Shy. Needs to land this cocoon here. Shy is going to hold it. He will be able to walk out in time, so not going to go down. There's good pressure coming out from that Trundle onto Duke, who does not have items yet, so now coming back, we'll get that first buy-in. This should help him out a lot. It's going to go for Boots of Swiftness, double longsword, and that Ruby Crystal. So set up for the Phage and that Caulfield's Warhammer. Just going to be looking for a Black Cleaver first by the look of things.
More and more junglers have been skipping over finishing their jungle item in favor of things like the Trinity Force if you're Hecarim. The mobility boots rush we've only seen from Lyra on Lee Sin, going for a very aggressive gank route, but it's going to be Sin on Bengi in this game, which is exciting. Expect to see him show up in lanes almost exclusively because his jungle clear will obviously be impacted by the lack of a upgrade on the jungle item.
Bengi roaming down to this bottom side, was looking for an in, but CJ had thrown a ward over the wall by
Nice
the Krugs, and also have one right there in the lane, so nicely done. So they do spot Bengi. Haru, Madlife, and Kramer, they're looking for the teleport's coming in here from the side of BDD. If they find the fight, Haru gets popped up. Bengi getting a hell of a lot of damage from that Mantra Cube, so trying to kite out as best as he can, but he's going to fall. And now it's just up to Wolf and Bengi to exit with their lives. Looks like they're going to be able to do so, but a good collapse from CJ. Well played.
And what I want the viewers to draw their attention to is to compare the collapse from SKT and the collapse from CJ in the last 2 games. Because we saw the extra kill given over by Haru making a bad decision after they killed Bang, and when clearly Shy was going to die. In this situation, SKT expertly understood that they're focusing Bang. Bang walked to the right, and both the support and the other member went in opposite directions. We saw the Elise go down, we saw Alistair walk into the river. They understood early that they didn't want to give up a second kill. They made a clear call, and that's the difference between a top team like SKT and CJ's. You never get more than what you really invest in. You never get those bonus kills that sometimes the lower teams give up.
Not nearly as careless. Now we can see Wolf roaming down in here, trying to find that headbutt pulverize. Not going to be able to get in range, but this will be a good amount of CS picked up here for Bang, who has fallen very slightly behind now, just separating himself from Kramer. Double longsword start for both of these AD carries, but crucially, Bang does have that call. So he's going to get a bit of a payoff in the end, but now Kramer going back, having a bit more up front. We'll finish off that spirited Dirk.
You see Haru put a pink ward down. He's trying to power down this blue buff. Elise is going to be there very quick with these boots of mobility.
Yeah, we'll see who's going to get this one. Looks like Haru going back in for it. Going to get jumped on by Bengi. Pushed out. The cocoon's not going to connect, but Faker comes around the side, threatening him off. So the blue buff will remain for SKTelecom to take away.
Jhin had actually roamed to potentially lead to a 5-man contest, but now we'll be walking bot lane. So CJ once again, because of that damage coming through onto Haru, decide to back away. Speaking of backing away, Shy needs to get away from Bengi. He's very, very quick.
Yep, gonna hightail it out of there. Faker's still poking his head in and out around this top side, but now needs to retreat back down to bottom as That wave is getting ready to go in underneath the tower, and he wants to pick up those minions. But even with the amount of roaming that he's done up and down this river, he's maintaining a CS lead. So Faker in a good spot so far with this Vladimir.
Love games like this where there's clear winners and clear losers from the early game. As Haru.
Oh yeah, Haru zipping his way down to the bottom side, trying to get on the bank with a nice spell shield. Keep himself from getting pushed back. TP goes out from Duke, but he's going to cancel it in the end. Acknowledges that his laners are safe, but we'll see how long that lasts. Roam down here from the rest of CJ. They're standing on top of a ward in that tri-brush, however, so not going to result in a whole lot more. CJ could just push in for this tower. They're going to open up with the curtain call. Bang flashes out. Wolf's going to take a shot, gets slowed up. Just the pulverize to get onto Haru. Nice flash away. Takes him out of range. That onslaught of Shadow Stun comes through from the Dazzle, however. Now Banky coming down. It's a Cocoon in onto that Hecarim, but they can't really collapse anymore and try to go for these kills. Faker's starting to roam down. Would be a 4v4, but I don't know if they want to pursue this any more than they already have. Faker now in a bad spot, going to have to exit out the backside of this pit with a flash. As long as the Sanguine Bull will go into that one. Dragon's been caged quickly down. Members of CJ throws out a Hemo Plague. Will find a couple targets to get some HP back, but overall it's going to be a big disengage from both sides.
Amazingly, Faker doesn't even have to flash out of the pit, was just able to throw the Hemo Plague down, and Haru had to respect the Baron damage. Awkwardly, at the same time, Shy decided to teleport top, so if there would have been a fight, that would have been ill-advised from the side of Shy. But another situation where a different team might have given up multiple kills or an objective. CJ invest a lot and get nothing from the pressure around bot lane.
Yeah. I mean, even so, at least it would have been a guaranteed 4v4, as Duke did cancel his teleport, so couldn't have been a 5v4 in favor of SKTelecom, but certainly would have liked to have been able to join his team if the fight had broken out in that Dragon Pit.
The point I was trying to make was that in the early game, Nara is in a great position, up 40 CS and 2 kills, and Haru, an expensive jungle build, has a lot of items as BDD.
Yep, nice flash away, takes himself to safety. Out of range that could. But yeah, 85 to 45, a 40 CS discrepancy there.
But 16 CS from the jungle and 2 kills means that you think about Blank in game 1, he was kind of forced or pressured into going for Cinderhulk first, given the item timings he was hitting. With those kills, confidently going for the Trinity Force rush is Haru.
Yep. Which isn't too surprising. Was the first person to bring out, or one of the first to bring out this Hecarim into the jungle?
In Korea, yes.
So, yeah, of course. That's usually the context in which I will be speaking. But
I mean, Korea often leads the way, but there's more LPL with the jungle Hecarim this season.
Well, Bengi not going to land the cocoon, just roaming back in, trying to create some pressure here for Faker, who is still sitting with a very slight CS lead over top of BDD. Will be in a good spot. Mad Life is sitting in the brush, waiting. Dazzle does connect onto Bang. Here comes Haru. Nice headbutt away there from Wolf. The exhaust coming through. Now Bengi joining them, gets a cocoon onto Mad Life, and they take him down with a Q. BDD from the backside should be able to take out the Sivir, and he does. Turn call opening up. Bengi in a bad spot, goes in with a repel. But that's going to be a double kill coming in for BDD, maybe even a triple as they chase onto Wolf. Has that Alistar ultimate ticking. It's not going to last forever, and there it is, a triple kill coming in for BDD. So CJ picking up 3 kills very swiftly in that bottom side. SKTelecom just way too far forward.
That's really great to see. CJ Entus, again, the 10th place team in the league, outfox SKT a couple of times. Firstly, Mad Life was in this brush for so long that Bang couldn't have known to spell shield the Dazzle, wasn't expecting it. Probably didn't even have his monitor fully centered in that situation. And then the teleport deep from BDD is really nice to see. We know all about the speed up from the Mantra shield that's available for CJ, so he's continued to chase on. Wolf actually gets very unlucky because the first shot of the curtain call is repelled by Elise, and Wolf was directly behind him. So it gets that 90% slow as under the turret.
Oh yeah, Shy just gonna get jumped on here by Duke and Faker. They're both perfectly safe.
You got Goomba Stomp.
Yeah, you have that jump out, you have the Sanguine Bull, so they're both rather safe. Bengi though going in onto Haru, you has that repel. Haru's trying to get his way out of here. BDD coming around. Puts that shield on him, and suddenly Bengi is the one that has to hightail it out. BDD's going to go for the chase and actually snipes him out. Nicely done by BDD.
I didn't expect the range in 2 games in a row. BDD's had a massive start. He's 4-0-1, picking up a lot of the kills with the smart teleport. It's been a season of what-ifs. We've had a lot of teams go on win streaks, and then just like Jin Air, have a bit of an emergency landing in the later parts of the season. But BDD has been out of the lineup for over a month, and Man, he looks good the moment he comes back in.
That he does. And, I mean, you kind of have to ask the question, CJ, should you have maybe swapped Sky back out for BDD a bit sooner? Would have certainly, by the numbers that we can see right now, helped them get higher up the rankings than they already are. Whether or not they'd make it out of relegations, of course, is a toss-up. I don't think that would be the case, but they at least would possibly not be negative 16 in the scoreline.
And look, we've alluded to it a couple of times. We have no information about why BDD hasn't been playing for such a long amount of time, but it has to be more than just gameplay. He's a young player, only turning 17 in March this year.
It's a lot of distractions.
A lot of distractions, young player, a lot of, a young player in a losing team. So it was probably more than just performance, because games like this remind you of the performance ceiling for a player like BDD, which is very high.
Yep. But, I mean, it's a nice explosive return into the mid lane for him. 4-0-1 still the scoreline. Morel and Omicron completed now as a Negatron. Oh my god, look at the damage from Haru. Straight onto Bengi. He'll go for the repel. Is that enough to save his life? It's not gonna be. He gets jumped on, and BDD finds yet another kill. Juke coming in. It's a nice stuff into the wall. Mad Life getting jumped down. Bang trying to finalize that kill, but the shield comes through from BDD, and he's just keeping the members of CJ healthy and afloat in this game. Faker trying to exit out, but he just has nowhere to go. Didn't use the flash. Ghost almost back up for him. He falls, and that's going to be 3 more kills picked up for CJ, not losing a single member.
CJ's mid-game team fighting with this lineup is a level above some great teams in the world, and such a level above what they were able to perform with Sky in the mid lane. BDD has really tightened up the ship, his laning phase and his skirmishing early. Even his roams have been a level above. This is going to be the outer mid lane turret for CJ Entus, and if they can get another good 10 minutes and not make the missteps they did in game 1, maybe we'll have a game 3.
Yeah, I mean, just look at this disgusting damage coming in onto Bengi. There's nowhere to go from that front court, and Faker just barely hitting anybody with the Hemo Plague. He's not able to capitalize in this fight. SKT, they're just scattering.
On the picture-in-picture, we're seeing a bit of fighting, but probably no more kills. One thing I want to note is that Faker ulted while the Cosmic Radiance was coming through from Taric. On the one hand, you don't get the damage amp because you're not actually doing damage, so 10% more of nothing is nothing. But because it was after the channel had been about a half to a second in, the Hemo Plague damage was going to register just because of the duration of the Hemo Plague versus the duration of the Cosmic Radiance.
Sure. Well, there we go. Cloud Drake will be taken by SKTelecom in the end of things. They're also able to snatch up a blue buff by the look, so Bengi will take that one away. So still being proactive, getting that first dragon of the game. We see that the next one is going to be Infernal, so now we're getting our best 2 dragons.
Right, it's a weird world.
It's really interesting, but yeah, I mean, you touched on it. CJ Entus, if they can just maintain this momentum, right now it's only 1,000 gold ahead just about. If they can keep this going and close this out and take us to game 3, do you know what that means for these guys?
I mean, it means so much.
It means top 5 on the ESPN Power Rankings, baby.
Oh, baby. I didn't see you going there, Achilles. But what it does mean, a little bit less facetiously, is a bit of confidence going into relegations, because
yeah,
a CJ Entus with Sky against Spenu with Sarsen, who's now back in the lineup, you'd be like, I think Sarsen has a big advantage, but BDD in form is a better mid laner than Sarsen, so this is maybe a bit more confidence going into what could be a best of 5 for their LCK lifeline.
Yeah, very true. Right now, all of CJ's eggs need to be in the basket of just making it through relegation. So look at this. Shy just aggressing onto Duke, chunking him out. Haru joining just a little bit too late to finalize a kill in that top lane. But nicely done for the Trundle coming in against this Gnar that has the Frozen Mallet completed.
I just want to point out that Elise, standing in the brush with boots of mobility and a jungle item, has 487 move speed.
Balanced as hell.
That's a lot of move speed. Like, a lot.
Yeah. And it only takes you like 4 seconds to get out of combat.
By contrast, Siffa has 380, so that lets you know just how fast this spider is moving. Turbo Spiders probably scare me a little bit less than some people, given my Australian background.
Yep, Turbo Spiders sounds like the world that I never want to live in.
Is it the sequel to Sharknado, Turbo Spiders?
I was going to say, it's the B movie on Sci-Fi Channel that I never want to see.
I'd watch it. Rocket-propelled spiders?
I mean,
Sign me up.
I remember watching the movie Arachnophobia when I was younger, And at that point, I wasn't even that scared of spiders, and that still disturbed the hell out of me.
See, now you're old and wise enough to be properly scared of spiders.
Yeah, now I know that they're actually the devil with 8 legs.
They're not so bad.
They're pretty terrible.
They're not so bad.
Depends on the size.
That's true.
Because if I ever woke up and there was something the size of a tarantula on my wall, I would probably call the police.
I know your door code, so...
Yeah, that's actually true. I'll call you, I'll give you a broom and a bucket, and you can just
No,
get rid
I
of
was
it.
I was implying that I would bring a spider.
Oh. Okay, well, I'm changing my door code tonight then. I was gonna see. I hope you. I was hoping that you were gonna be nice.
Nope.
And you would know how to deal with the spiders.
That's
so
just
you would
not
come
how
over
this
and get rid of them.
conversation goes, Kilios.
Wow. What a great co-caster. So beat. Bang. Getting engaged on with that curtain call. Dazzle. Oh, yep, that Dazzle connects, and he goes down. Nice little pickup there for BDD. Now 6-0-3 on this Karma. We'll have to...
Duke's going to teleport.
Oh, yeah, Duke is coming in. Shy doesn't have a way to interrupt this yet. The root's not going to come through, and he will make it out with his life. But CJ, they're going to go ahead and start up this Baron.
That's a
Bang's
big...
dead for another 14 seconds.
It's a big element of risk about this. We're early. It's a 20-minute spawn Baron. We saw the headaches this can cause, Achilles.
Yeah, we have seen this
They're
many a
grouping
time.
up.
SKTelecom's coming through. Nice of a play, straight into a 4-man pulverized. The front line of CJ is not taking a hell of a lot of damage. Haru goes in with the onslaught of shadows, fearing them out. Wolf's going to go down. Faker finds a kill on to Kramer, but can they do more? Duke arrives, gets a nice wallop in. They're locking him up, but that's going to be Duke going down. Faker just trying to kite this out as best as he can. Right now, it's pretty much even. Bangy and Faker left. Faker flashing away, but now here comes Bang, throws out the boomerang, and they should be able to clean this one up. Shy, nowhere to go, caught by the cocoon. That is going to be the ace, and just as expected, CJ toss it away at the Baron pit.
They did it in slightly less spectacular fashion in game 1, but
yeah.
Baron with 4 members alive, including a Vladimir. It doesn't matter if you have Taric ultimate, the damage you're taking, it's Trinity Force Hecarim. We've seen teams make this mistake not long ago, Achilles. The lore of the 20-minute Baron is very strong.
Yeah, if MVP is watching this game, I think they just got triggered.
I mean, you just walk it, it's Gnar with red buff at level 12. It's Faker with the Vladimir and Hemoplague. So look, a lot of the damage is negated by the Cosmic Radiance, but they turn around, and Kramer is tanking Baron at the back and just gets auto-attacked by Mini Gnar to death. So Kramer needs to be further away from the Baron, but they didn't peel for their AD carry. It was a lot of the power early in the game, and even with a second round of Karma Shields, an ill-advised fight from CJ is punished, and SKT and Faker predictably always casually gets out. This man never looks at explosions, ever.
He just knows his limits. He's a wild individual, that Faker. SKTelecom looking for a pick in this mid lane, but standing on a ward, not going to be able to find it.
I just really hope they wouldn't do it again, Achilles. Find a lead at 15 minutes, then find a way to lose it. In game 1, it was all about BDD. They were poking around for a kill onto the enemy Hecarim, and SKT just 3-man killed the mid laner that was fed in the mid lane.
Yeah.
A little bit more spectacular this time, but the same shoddy calling that unfortunately has been a story for CJ recurring in 2016.
Well, it's not looking good off the backside of that Baron, but it's still not completely hopeless here for the side of CJ. They're barely behind in gold for the moment. The Baron wasn't able to be taken by SKTelecom, so they didn't lose out on that major objective. But now it's going to come down to this Infernal Drake, which has spawned, and you can see SKTelecom already pretty postured in the river with vision control to potentially take away that objective. Duke up at the top side doesn't have teleport, however, so he'll have to roam down or just commit to splitting. To Shy, he'll be able to join the team if a fight should break out down here.
You have to say, though, Kramer, 1,500 gold behind his opponent. He was gift-wrapped for SKT in the last fight. Tanking Baron just died to the Mini Gnar. Double Proto Belt and a Gnar. So how will this underfarmed Jhin put out damage in the fight to stop SKT winning this one? And then we're talking about 5-item Vladimir territory. And Vladimir Sivir in the late game is the preeminent duo for putting out team fight damage in League of Legends.
Yeah. Right now, SKTelecom still just prioritizing getting control of the vision in this area, buying enough time for Duke to have that teleport back up so he can keep splitting against Shy in that top lane. So it's going to be about 20 seconds more and then SKTelecom will be in a position where they can comfortably engage that Infernal and try to claim their second dragon of the game.
Yeah, we'll see what CJ wants to do. They definitely didn't rebound very well from their mistakes during the course of game one. SKT going to start off the Infernal Drake, but
yeah, they're going to get pushed off pretty quickly as that Scrying Orb comes through. Now move back in, did not reset. They'll be able to finish this one out. So CJ just not able to contest, and now with 8% increased stats in the pocket of SKTelecom, they're going to be looking pretty good, as everybody's pretty much got those, you know, third items on the cusp coming in.
CJ still have excellent burst through the Trinity Force Hecarim. Just the limits after the Cosmic Radiance go down, after the Karma Shield go down, is when you start seeing lack of defensive itemization really hurting them over a long fight. And the sustained damage of Vladimir and Siva, you know, needs no introduction. So can they get it done in the first 5 to 10 seconds of a fight, or will just the war of attrition go to SKT?
Haru, well, he doesn't take much damage from Bank. He goes back in, he deals a hell of a lot. The root comes through from the chin. They're going to take him down. BDD finds the kill. Curtain Call opened up. Wolf, the only target, he flashes out, still gets clipped by that third and fourth bullet. Dazzle comes through. He uses the Alistar ultimate a little bit too soon. Can't cleanse it off. He is going to go down, and just like that, CJ finding 2 more picks, crucially one on Bengi, so the jungler gone. They're turning onto this Baron yet again.
Now this Baron still is risky. It still is Vladimir and Siva. Let's see if CJ can turn off it well, because they cannot DPS it down fast enough.
That's down to about half right now. Duke with no Narvar goes in pretty far forward. Subjugate comes through, and he's getting chipped down by Shy. Looks like CJ just committing to this Baron. They're going to be able to smite it out and take it away. Faker now in the thick of the pit. In that Sanguine Pool, going to try to turn something around. Flashes out, but one more hit. There it is. He goes down. Duke and Bengi now respawning, the only 2 members alive. Uses the ultimate, but the pillar comes through, so he has to burn the flash. CJ are still chasing. They get the root from the W. They get the Dazzle. They get the unofficial ace, and they might get this game, finally.
They won't be able to finish it just yet, Achilles, but that was much improved play around Baron. This time the Cosmic Radiance was early. There was no damage from the first AoE from SKT, and the one thing Trinity Force Hecarim can do is run at a Siva this early. Siva didn't have the damage to take him down, so was able to take out first the Siva, turn on to the next member. SKT, it's one thing to contest a 20-minute Baron with 4 members, a 26-minute Baron with 3 up only, and the Cosmic Radiance still up, was a really big win for CJ Entus, and 4,000 gold ahead. The next item going to be big for a lot of these members. SKT going to have to pull this one long, or it might actually finally be that CJ Entus victory. So we're seeing the replay here. Cosmic Radiance at the perfect time. And let's just watch the difference. You know, just think about how poorly they executed the previous fight. They stay on Baron just because they had it down low enough. Good smite on it. And this time Kramer in the backline's only being dived by Faker. Doesn't die solo. Can actually flash aggressively. Still had that up. Able to clean up Duke as well. Much improved play from CJ Entus. And I didn't see a Game 3 coming, but suddenly it's a possibility.
Yeah, it's looking like a very big possibility, and you got to know, somewhere, wherever they are watching this, the Rocks Tigers have to have a smile on their faces as they are watching CJ potentially take down SKTelecom, because the more that SKT loses, fewer games that Rocks are going to have to play, because they're just very likely to be able to sit comfortably at that first place spot and avoid the gauntlet until the very end.
I mean, it's even more than that, Achilles. The game score, even if they win 2-1, starts to get impacted, might be very relevant. As it stands, Rocks Tigers have to lose a series for the SKT to actually finish first. But if they do drop a series, the game score might be important. As this time SKT looking for a pick.
Yeah, they go in onto Shy, they knock him up, and they should be able to pop him down. He gets a big burst of HP coming through from Mad Light, though. They're going to try to turn this one around. Curtain Call coming through, last shot lands on the Wolf. Uses the Alistar ultimate now, but is it enough to keep him alive? Haru is just keeping Duke tethered in that jungle, and that is going to be the first pick coming through as Wolf does fall. Faker not really able to do a whole lot to that Hecarim, and CJ, they're going to keep pushing down for this tier 2 in the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, Shy didn't die. They didn't even have to use the Cosmic Radiance. Just a W from turret that was enough to keep him alive. They take out the inner bot lane turret, pushing up mid lane as well. Really smart play from CJ. Not a great siege comp, but with the Baron buff, that is the ultimate equalizer.
Yeah. They're whittling this thing down. Faker jumps forward, trying to get a kill on the Kramer, but he just pops him. Faker going way too aggressive, and now Duke getting rooted as CJ collapses him from the backside. They take him out as well as that tier 2 tower in mid. So 2 towers picked up here for CJ. They're going to be looking for their second inhibitor of the game. If not just the game itself, it's 30 seconds on Duke 30 on Faker. They could just close it out right now.
It's a Baron buff super minion wave. They're going to look for it, Achilles. Would require a heroic defense from SKT, but I don't think they have the members to do it.
All right, this is do or die time here for Bang. Gets jumped on by Haru. Not able to finish him out, but the first tower falls. Big pulverize coming through from Wolf, but they're just not able to do it. BDD takes out Bangy. It's just Bang and Wolf trying to hold on for dear life, but the Nexus exposed will go down, and CJ Entus, after another back and forth game, actually close it out in 29 minutes to take down SKTelecom. We're going to game 3.
You cast your mind back to spring playoffs, Achilles, and one of the best ever best of 5s was played between CJ Entus and SKTelecom. A very different CJ Entus now, even SKTelecom, no Marin, some changes themselves, but this has been an exciting series. Could have been a 2-0 for CJ if they played the mid-game differently in game 1, but game 2, you see why Haru has these Hecarim respect bans across the Rift. He's taken out the Rocks Tigers and SKTelecom on the jungle Hecarim pick. He was the one that got the snowball early. He was the big winner of the early game. Duke was the big winner on the side of SKT. Both had 2 kills very early. But amazingly, from the jungle, Haru has the most damage dealt to champions. And amazingly, we're going to a game 3.
Yeah, this is not what I anticipated at all from tonight. CJ Entus just stepping up to the plate and taking out SKTelecom. And I mean, it's equal parts credit, I suppose, to CJ playing insanely well and then SKTelecom playing very poorly from time to time. I mean, overall, I don't think that they look that bad in these games, but they're making these crucial mistakes that allow for CJ to come back in. And the fact that they're doing that off the backside of crucial mistakes from CJ themselves, it's just, we just keep going back and forth like a tennis match as to who is going to mess up next and then when is it going to end the volley. And it just happened to end on the side of CJ's court this time.
And look, Jin Air, over the course of their career, they deserved the Robin Hood title. SKTelecom are becoming the Robin Hood of summer because Jin Air's just been going down. There's no robbing happening there at all. SKTelecom, they'll beat the Rocks Tigers. They'll beat KT Rolster, but you face them against some of these bottom teams. And to say they look shaky would be an understatement.
Yeah, I mean, their next game is against ESC Ever as well. So, well, we have to figure out this one first. We're going to go to a quick break, guys. When we come back, it'll be the conclusion to CJ versus SKTelecom. Game 3 coming up in just a few. Koreans,
few more.
Yeah, they're always talking, so a little bit more.
They're
feeling, but
we'll get don't worry.
We'll get there eventually. Like right now. See you. Got a feeling that